Hi guys, Lisa here, and today I have a very late idea for you guys. This was supposed to be more around the holiday season, but I think it can still be as relevant if there's any kind of gift giving or receiving going on, because I want to show you guys how you can take used wrapping paper and turn it into something usable, sentimental, nostalgic, memorable. It can be another gift you can wrap in more wrapping paper. I'll show you guys how to turn it into paper, and then I'll show you a super easy binding technique that you can use with basically no tools or skills, and that is perfect for this because you would literally only be using packaging materials. I specifically only use materials that would be considered trash within celebrations with gifts. Yes, that's a great explanation. So let's take some holiday trash and turn it into a beautiful sentimental journal.
Okay, so yes, those are my PJs. I like to be comfy, but here we are with the wrapping paper. The first step of this process is the breaking down of the paper. You want to firstly make sure that the paper doesn't have any plastic, so make sure that you take off any leftover sellotape that might be stuck to the paper. The plastic won't break down, and at this point it's the easiest to get rid of them, so it's not a bad idea to be thorough. Then once you have your plastic-free paper, you can just rip it into pieces. Do this with all the wrapping paper you want to use. You do want to be selective with the type of paper. The more paper-like, the more chance of it turning out well. Wrapping that is more like foil, like this one, won't break down well and leave big chunks in your new paper. But put it aside because you can use it later. So now you have a box filled with pieces of wrapping paper, and you want to add water to soak them. That way they will get nice and soft and will blend down smoothly. Put the box aside for a day or so, or longer if your blender has no power or if you are deciding not to use a blender. Once your pieces of wrapping paper have soaked enough to be soft, you want to add a few handfuls to a blender and fill it up with water. Blend it for longer than you think until it's smooth. It will look something like this. This is actually quite watery, which lets me know that next time I'm able to add more paper if I want to. I'm next going to strain this mixture so the pulp becomes thicker. You can skip this step if you don't care about a similar thickness throughout your new paper, but I always like to do it. It gives me more control. Don't strain it too much or the pulp will be difficult to work with, but once you have a texture similar to this, you can store it in any container that can be closed off. I'm using old jelly bean containers, so use whatever you have. Then repeat these steps until you have used up all your soaked wrapping paper, or if you're over it, that's up to you. Here you see that I did actually find a piece of sellotape I missed, and you can perfectly see how it did not blend. Not to worry, just take it out and watch out if you find any other pieces. It is also quite possible that every time you blend a batch, it will come out a slightly different color depending on the pieces you blend. If you want to make sure your papers have a more uniform look, just throw all the batches into one box and mix it up. I'm going to keep them separate though. Now you are ready to turn this pulp into paper. This process is basically the same as other recycled paper making. Fill a container with water and add a few handfuls of the pulp to it. Stir the pulp into the water well. Then get your mold and deckle. I will link my tutorial on how to make one as well as the place where I got mine. Make sure the pulp is floating in the water and scoop it up with your mold and deckle and lift up straight. Let most of the water run out and then lift off the deckle. You then want to transfer the sheet of paper to a cloth. Flip it on there and press it in firmly. Use a sponge to soak up most of the excess water. Don't be shy while using the sponge. Then lift the mold up from one side while pulling the cloth tight, and your paper should be transferred. Look how incredibly cute this paper looks though. I love all the different colors of paper. Now you can move the cloth out of the way and start on your next piece of paper. Just repeat the same process and add small amounts of pulp to the water as you go. You can carefully stack the cloths on top of each other so you can easily move it after. I then hang up the pages on a closed drying rack, but you can also lay them out to dry. It might just take a little longer. I leave them overnight and the next day they will be dry. Here are the pages all dry and now you can peel them off of their cloths. I make a start with my finger and then peel the entire page off like so. This is so satisfying, so enjoy this with me for a bit. Oh, look at how amazing these pages are. It almost looks like confetti. The color has faded a lot, which happens most of the time with homemade paper, but they feel really nice, smooth and strong, and I'm actually really excited about them. If your paper has these little fuzzies on the end from some rogue pulp, you can just lightly pull on it and it will come right off. Next, you want to flatten the pages, because most likely they will be slightly curled after drying. I put them into 2 stacks in my book press, but you can also place them under something heavy like some books. Then leave them for 2 days or so. Alright, let's look at what they look like after that time. We have a nice stack of straight confetti paper that we can now turn into a journal. First, I pick out which pages I want to use. For this specific binding method, you don't want to use too many, so I'm only picking out 10 pages and then organizing them into the order that I want them to be. Once you have your organized stack, make sure it's lined up and then fold it in half. This will be your text block basically. Now we can start on making the cover for the journal. You can actually leave the cover out if you want, the binding method will be the same. For the cover you want to take any kind of thin cardboard you can find. An old cereal box, or what I'm using is this box of this vegan brownie mix. It's not sponsored, but I do like it a lot. If anyone wants a coat, here you go. I cut the box to size and glued 2 sides together so it can wrap around the paper from front to back. Then once you have the correct size cardboard, it's time to decorate. For this you can also use anything you want really, but to stay on theme I will be using the foil wrapping paper we put aside when making our pulp earlier. You find the part that you like and then glue the cardboard on it. I'm just using simple PVA glue. Because we're using thin cardboard, you need to make sure to press it down while it's drying so it won't curl up. I just add a big heavy book on top. This is actually my art school graduation collection, so I finally found a use for my art degree. Once it's mostly dry, you can wrap the sides. Try to cut each side to a similar size first, then cut out the corners like so. It should look something like this. Then glue each side over to the cardboard. I did struggle a bit to get the foil to stick down properly, but with some struggle and determination you can get quite far. Alrighty, now the front is wrapped and it should look something like this. In the meantime, keep making sure to press it so it doesn't curl up. If you don't want glue to get everywhere, use some baking sheets because they will peel right off once dry, like so. Also quite satisfying. Now we have to cover the inside of the cover, and I wanted to stay on theme, so I wanted to show the foil side on the inside, but do whatever you want. You want to cut this piece already to size and then just glue it on. Now it looks like this. You can see how wonky the sides are because I suck at cutting straight lines. I wonder why. But not to worry, we will cover this. I'm covering the sides with ribbon. These ones are already stick-ons, but you can also easily glue them down, of course. Just make sure that while placing these, you stay straight to the edge of the cardboard. And now it looks like this. The cover is now finished, so we are ready to bind it all together. Keep pressing it in the meantime though. After a while, I noticed that the foil was weirdly responding and looking like this. But I don't mind it too much, kinda looks cool. So to bind it all together, all you need is some sort of string, like a ribbon, a rope, or a lace. First you take your text block and open it up to the fold. You want to poke 3 holes on this fold, one in the middle and the other 2 equally spaced from there. You can measure this out as precise as you would want, it won't matter a whole lot. Once you have them measured out, you want to make the holes bigger so that the string can pass through it. Then you want to make these same holes in the cover. Then, starting from the outside of your cover, take your ribbon and go through the middle hole to the inside of the journal. The ribbon I'm using is thick and hard to deal with, so it takes me some fidgeting to get it through the holes. Once you're through your cover, you also want to go through the middle hole of your text block towards the inside, attaching the cover and the pages together. Make sure you leave a tail on the outside. Before I go any further with the binding, I'm going to make it easier for myself by making a DIY aglet. Shout out if you also learned that word from Phineas and Ferb. I do this simply by pinching the end of the ribbon and wrapping it with some sellotape. This should make it easier to get the ribbon through the holes. Then you want to take your ribbon and go through the top hole to the outside. So go through the pages and then through the corresponding hole of the cover. Pull it tight and it should look something like this. Keep making sure you keep that tail from the beginning though. Then go through the last open hole. Through the cover and then again through the pages. Now the last binding step is to go through the middle hole again so both ends of the ribbon are on the outside of the journal. This is what the inside should roughly look like. On the outside, to finish it off, tie the 2 loose ends to each other and create a bow to really embrace the give vibes of the journal. Cut off any excess and your wrapping paper journal should be done. Here it is. Doesn't it look absolutely adorable? I love the bow on the spine and I cannot stop gushing over the pages looking so amazing and unique with all the little confetti pieces. The toned down purple color is low-key gorgeous, and even a weird foil on the inside looks kinda really cool, even if it wasn't what I expected it to look like. Overall, I think we definitely succeeded in turning holiday junk into something special.
And there you have it, a festive journal made from celebratory trash. I don't think if there's anything more sentimental and layered than this item. I really hope you try it. I hope that you will remember this for your next celebrations. Maybe next time when you are giving a wrapped gift, you can also send them the link to this video, so you're at the same time also giving them a fun DIY project. Maybe you want to do this every year for Christmas and then fill it with pictures of that celebration, and that you then have a stack of handmade journals made from the Christmas trash. Of course, there's so many possibilities with these things, so if you do try it, I would love to see it. You can tag me at nevermindlisa on Instagram and TikTok. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll try to answer as much as I can. And if you like my content, you can subscribe, and you can also find more on TikTok and Instagram as well. So for now, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye. Sense. What's the word? What's the word about like sensitivity but not sensitivity? Like nostalgic, but like I'm making some memories into a book, you know? So it's like, oh jeez, yeah, I don't know. What's the word? Sense? Something with sense. Sentimental. Sentimental. Thank you. You're the best. Okay, I got this.